right. So I thought I would try something a little new. If you end up coming by, thank you so much for checking out the stream or checking out this recording. My name's Ryan Holgerson. I am the creator of a comic called Slackmatic, which features two characters, a father and a daughter, Audrey and Dad, and my recent elevator pitch for it has been The Simpsons meets DuckTales meets Rick and Morty. I've been working with these characters for years and years now. And I thought I'd try out some streaming. And I'm doing something completely out of my comfort zone. Which is doing a stream of consciousness comic. So I guess we can call this the streamed of consciousness comic. Now this first page that I'm working on here, I did kind of already had this in mind. So maybe this one's not as stream as of consciousness, but I have no idea where this story is gonna go, and we're just gonna do it a page at a time, and see what happens. So I've got a good idea about this page. So we've got this doorway here, and Audrey and Dad are going to be standing in front of it, and it's a mystery. They don't know where this dark, creepy door with, like, I guess a tunnel or something. They don't know where it's come from. They don't know what it is. We're just starting right off the bat with that, and then we'll see where this goes. But that's really, like, I like to start stories off where, not that we're like in the middle of the story, but there's not a lot of setup. I want to get right into it, and usually the stories that I'm telling, they're like 6 to 10 pages long. And so when you're doing stories that are short like that, you kind of got to you just got to get right to the point. Just get in there and what's happening. And if you're familiar with my work, you know I like to draw monsters and weird aliens and stuff like that. I like to put a lot of urban legends and folklore into my work. But also what I really like to do is throw humor in there. And humor is the main goal. You know what? Entertainment is the main goal. I want people to enjoy reading my work. I want it to be fun, which is what I hear a lot from people that do read my books, my stories on Reddit or Instagram, is that this is fun. And whenever I hear that, I know I have succeeded at what I'm trying to do. So let's see, we got, just going over the lines I've already drawn, of course. It looks pretty good. If you're curious, I am drawing in Clip Studio Paint. This is a great program for illustration and even has some animation capabilities and stuff, but it is made for doing comics and manga. And so if you are getting started drawing comics and stuff like that, and you want to draw digitally, which is not, it's not necessary, but if you want to get into digital comics, I highly recommend Clip Studio Paint. It's just got some amazing tools that makes comic making that much easier. So we're getting Dad's head drawn here. We're definitely going to be shrinking this down. One of the advantages of drawing digitally, if I were doing this on paper, I'd probably have to erase it and draw it even smaller. But with digital, I can just lasso it, shrink it down like that, get it to about the right size. Oops, that's my inking brush. So I'm using Clip Studio Paint, but for the actual drawing, I am drawing on a Wacom Cintiq Pro 24. And I'm using a Dell laptop to run everything. Occasionally I do have an iPad. I've got an iPad Pro 12.9, and I'll work on that sometimes. In fact, I have, like I said, I'd already kind of had this page planned out before, and I had completely drawn this page on my iPad. I think it was last week, and I did that in Procreate. And I was thinking about doing this weird stream of consciousness project on Procreate, because I've done lots of comics using Procreate, but not a lot recently. And so I was thinking about getting back to it. But when I started trying to figure out the stream logistics, streaming from the iPad was a pain in the ass. And I got tired of it, and so I figured out how to just do it straight from my Cintiq, and I was like, you know what, that's fine. And to be honest with you, drawing this way and doing comics this way is, I've just been doing it so much that it comes super naturally. My hand just automatically like clicks what I need to on my remote over here, which, let me show you the remote. This is a Wacom, I forget what they call it. I think it's just called the Wacom remote. But you just apply shortcuts and stuff like that to it. And it takes the place of using keyboard shortcuts. And I've heard a ton of reviews people just bashing it. There's a lot. It seems like there's a lot of people that just hate do not like the Wacom remote, and they still support it and use it, but I don't think they really. I think with the new Cintiqs they've got coming out, I think they're going back to more shortcut keys on the actual device. They had moved away from doing that and going with these remotes. But I'm so used to the remote. I never used anything else that it doesn't bug me at all. I'm just used to it. I think a lot of the bad reviews come from people who had used other devices or gotten so used to their keyboard and they were using that, and then going to the Wacom remote just didn't feel right. And I have had some issues with it every once in a while. I've had the settings just all of a sudden disappear, and I had to. I think a couple times I had to completely reset every setting on the buttons. And that was annoying. I'm not gonna lie, it was super annoying. But I've had this since 2020. And that's happened maybe twice, and so it's not a regular thing. So, all right. So we've got Audrey and Dad, and they're standing in front of this door. And in the original drawing or page that I had done on Procreate, I had it where this door was in the, like, it looked like it was on the side of a mountain or something. And I'm just thinking out loud, because that's probably going to be the theme of these comics, is thinking out loud. I was thinking about maybe just having the door just this black spot out of nowhere, but you know what? I think I'm gonna go back to it kind of being in this mountain wall. Yeah, I think that'll be easier. Not necessarily easier to draw, but I think I'm gonna go with that. Like I said, I don't know where this story's gonna go at all. But maybe doing it that way will give more room for possibilities being in a cave. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So we got one more panel to do. At least one more panel to pencil. And I like to, speaking of penciling, as we're coming to the end of the penciling stage on this page, I like to pencil pretty, if you can't tell, pretty quickly. Pretty sloppy. These are actually tighter than most pencils that I do. I would never, if I had an inker, I would never hand these drawings over to someone to ink. Now let's move this word balloon. So again with penciling, so I like to draw real, like I said, real sketchy, real fast. Really, I ink real fast too. I like to do everything fast when it comes to comics. They're already so work intensive. But the pencil brush that I am using, this is a Frienden brush. But you can find these. I think it's just frienden.com, Frenden. But either way, look it up. Frienden Clip Studio paintbrushes. He's got a big pack with, I think, hundreds of brushes. And this has been my go-to penciling brush for years and years and years. Um, I've drawn digital comics on Clip Studio for years. Even before I got the Cintiq, I would do them uh, on an iPad Pro. I worked on a Surface Pro 2 for a long time, and ever since I've been doing them, I have been inking, or not inking. I have been doing the pencils with this layout red pencil brush from Frienden. And then I also have a blue one, and I switch it up every once in a while, but for the most part, I will keep foreground and background characters in the pencils on different layers. And I like to use red for the characters, and then I like to use the blue layout pencil, and I use that for a lot of the backgrounds and stuff like that. It just helps me kind of visually separate everything. Um, and I've worked that way for a long time. All right, so this is penciled, and also I'm gonna say right now I am doing a real short stream. I've only got until maybe 3 o'clock, maybe. So not very long at all. So this is gonna be really short. And we're just going to see how far we can get, and then we will return either late tonight or later on tomorrow or something like that, and we'll see what we can get done. But let's start. I'm going to start inking. So when I start inking, I like to bring the opacity down on these pencil layers. So you can see I was when I was drawing them. They were at 100%. They look like that, and I pick a point on the opacity bar, just like somewhere around the middle. It usually ends up around 40% or something like that. It just helps it when you're inking um, to see things a little better. And we are gonna ink with the Real G pen. Um, that's a brush you can get. It comes with Clip Studio paint. And I started using this brush exclusively at the end of last year. This is going to be black around here. Good Lord. That took a while. I started using the Real G pen exclusively at the end of last year, though. And the idea was I was trying to speed up my process as much as possible. And I had a collection of Akira Toriyama short stories. It's called Manga Theater. And in it, there's a story that he did for a manga contest. And I think it's called Pola and Royd. I always forget it. Um, but what he did was he had to do it so fast because he was also doing other projects. I think he was already doing Doctor Slump and stuff like that. He did the entire story with one pen, and it was just a sign pen, uh, which is really just kind of a. It's what you would just use to write signatures and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a real standard kind of, I don't know, almost felt tip pen or something like that. Um, Definitely nothing special. Not necessarily a art making tool. And he did the whole story in that just so he didn't have to. He didn't have to think about anything else. He wasn't using different, G nibs and shit like that. I don't think there's even any screen tones or anything in that story. And I loved the artwork in it. I mean, I love his artwork anyway, but there was just something about it. Like it was really the realization that wow, there's nothing missing from this for me from him using the bare minimum tools. And so I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna try that because I was trying to gear up to do what could be like weekly comics, which I was doing for a while. Kind of slowed down this summer. Been taking a break. Um, but at the beginning of January, I was doing that, and even partly the end of last year, I was experimenting with that. And I was just trying to figure out how am I going to do this faster. And so I really like the Real G pen. You can get some variation in the line, but it's not as loose as a like like a brush, and and I just use it at the like one. Let's see, what do I use it at a 50 pixel size, and that's what it's at. I do the backgrounds with it. I do the characters with it. That's it, and I can vary the line width with the pressure and everything, but it's still pretty slight. Like if we back out of this, it's not going to be super noticeable. I wouldn't say it's like if you're familiar with like 1010 comics and what they what they call is it ligne claire, clean line in French comics. I don't think it's that dead of a line. It's still got a little life to it, but it's not far off. And even that clean line in French comics, there's some. You look at some of those 1010 pages close up. There's some variation in that line. They're just drawing so big and then reducing it down and everything that some of that gets um, hidden and taken away. Let's draw these feet. How much am I gonna screw up drawing these feet? No Rob Liefeld jokes. And I don't care. Feet are hard to draw. Feet are hard to draw. You know what? Lots of stuff is hard to draw. It just takes practice, 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 practice. And if you're an artist, you know that no matter, even though that eventually you can see that you're progressing and you're getting better, I don't think you're ever truly satisfied with what you do. Do I like this? I don't know. I think I'm going to make... I swear, I have the hardest problem with Audrey's hair sometimes. Meh. Good enough. Good enough. It's good. You try and make something as perfect as possible. You're never gonna move ahead. You gotta move ahead. I'm sure there's people that disagree with me. My philosophy is gotta move ahead. Make mistakes, put it out there. I end up talking to a lot of young cartoonists, and they're always asking, you know, what do I do? What do I do to start? How do I start drawing comics? And the answer is just do it. Just start doing it. There's no secret to it. Surely you're not going to start, you know, drawing for Marvel or DC right away. If that's what you want. I don't even want something like that. I'm fiercely independent. I like publishing my own books, and doing stuff for those companies never even been a goal. But if that is your goal, you're not just gonna go to school for comics and learn how to do it and walk out with a job. You gotta keep working. It's nonstop. You've got to draw pages. You've got to learn how to storytell, because it's not just about drawing pretty pictures. Although, hot take, it might be a little more about drawing pretty pictures when it comes to Marvel and DC now. I don't follow them too much. But I'm sorry, I see a lot of amateur storytelling. Beautiful art, I get it, but there's a difference when it comes to drawing comics. It's not just about that pretty picture. You've got to be able to tell a convincing story. And really, that to me, that's the most important part, is having a layout that makes sense, where the reader is not confused, and they can follow along like no problem. More feet. More feet. So these comics I've been doing lately, where I'm just trying to do as many as possible, honestly. Along with using this one brush just to do all the finished line work and stuff like that. Obviously, I already have a pretty cartoony style. But there have been moments in my drawing career where I've done some more realistic backgrounds and stuff like that, and done a lot of cross hatching and tried to push myself artistically. But this series, I joked to my buddy Levi, and we do a YouTube channel together called Comics in the Making. So check that out on YouTube for more comic talk and advice on making comics. But I joked to him when I started doing this project that I was releasing my inner Sergio Aragones. And if you don't know, I mean, Sergio's a world famous cartoonist. Worked a lot for Mad magazine. If you're old, you've probably even seen his drawings on TV. Just brilliant cartoonist, but he also created his own series called Gru, which is like a barbarian series, and just very, very prolific artist, and draws really cartoony, really fast, and so I'm trying to add that to my repertoire. Okay, so we've pretty much got the line work kind of done on the characters. I think I like it okay. This one arm looks a little wonky. I don't know. Is Dad just fatter on this side? What did I do? I think let's bring this out a little more. There we go. And see, I'm doing a lot of the drawing in this line work inking process. There we go. Yeah, that looks a little, I guess, a little better. Like I said, who cares? Just keep going. One tip I always give for people working in digital art, and especially when you're new to it, maybe not even new to it, let's get some like rocky cave lines in this, since we have definitely decided that's what this is, or I've decided. You guys didn't have any part of this. Anyway, oh yeah, advice for digital art. Don't use the Control Z too much, which is the undo. Try to commit to what you're doing as if this was a traditional piece of art. Working digitally, it's a tool. It's a tool. Is it a little faster than working traditionally? It can be, sure. But honestly, a lot of the times when it is faster, where it's really helping is, for panel borders. I can just bring my template for all my Slackmatic comics right into this page, and bam, it's right there. It takes a second to generate. Whereas when I'm working traditionally, that's going to take, it could take 5-10 minutes to rule out all your borders and shit like that. So that's quicker. Lettering's quicker. I use a font. So that's certainly faster than writing out dialogue. Although I think it's really important to learn correct lettering even if you're using a font. And you know, and you can still handwrite your lettering if you're working digitally. I know there's a lot of people who do that. I've done it before. And I'm always kind of tempted to do it. But I don't know. There's just something I'm never super satisfied with it. I really like this font that I use, which is, this is Ready for Anything, which is a Blambot font. You should go pick that up. It's great. Great font. He's got a ton of free fonts on there, which are just indispensable, in my opinion. But Ready for Anything is not. It is not free. But I think it's. Want to say it's $40. But I think using your Control Z to a minimum when you're working digitally, it helps the art come out a little more alive, a little makes it feel a little more traditional. I mean, I am told a lot. People don't realize that I do work digitally. A lot of people think it's traditional because I leave a lot of wobbly lines and stuff in there. Because that's the look I'm going for. That's what I want it to look like. I don't want anybody. I don't ever want it to smack of, oh, you used a computer for this. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that. I just want my drawings to feel. I want them to feel alive. And I think if you're going for perfection, you lose that. You lose that. There's just no soul there. I mean, just look at any AI art. Look at AI art. There's no soul. There's no soul in that. All right. So we got that first. At least the line art for this first panel done. Let's see. Actually, there we go. That's done. You know what I think I'm going to do real fast before I'm going to have to get off of here. I want to add. There we go. I want to add some fading to this to these large areas of black. I want this to look kind of like a faded like zine, like a comic printed on a copier. So what I've done is I've put a layer above this one, and I'm going to change the color to white. And we're going to see. I can't. Yeah, there we go. And so I'm just throwing some white in there. You know what? I don't know if I actually want this scuff builder though. All that shit I just said about Control Z, I'm breaking my rule. This is a little different. This isn't really line art. I think what I want, ink fader. That's what I want. There we go. So this is a brush called Ink Fader. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, if you were around to like print zines and stuff like that, you'll know that when you're printing them up off a copier and you've got these heavy areas of black and sometimes the toner's getting a little low, you're gonna lose some of that black. It's gonna start coming out a little gray, and there's gonna be some fade and stuff like that. And the brush I just used for that is called Ink Fader, and it's in a True Grit texture supply pack. I want to say they've got a comic coloring pack. It's either Debaser or what's it called? I think Craftwork or something like that. I'll have to get back to you on that because I don't remember. But anyway, that's where I use that. It looks kind of cool. I'm also going to use some kind of Zipatone dots on here. Now they've got a lot of that stuff built in on Clip Studio Paint, which are great. But I'm actually going to use some that are from True Texture Supply also, because I just feel like I've had better success with that. But I'm going to have to leave it there. And I'm going to have to jump off this stream. Sorry it was so short if you actually showed up to check it out. But hopefully I'll be back either late tonight or tomorrow at some point. So until then, you can check out my Instagram. It's Slackmatic0. Or check out my Patreon at Slackmatic. Yeah, just go into a search engine and search me and look at my comics. Most of them are out there for free. All right. Well, I'm going to end this, and I'll see you next time.